What's going on, everyone? It's Adam here from No Shelf Space, and today I'm going to show you how to play Garden Geckos from Tin Robot Games. This is a prototype for a Kickstarter project, which will be launching in early April. There's a description, there's a link, there is a description, but there's also a link in the description box down below that will teach you how to play. Now, usually I like to show off the box. I'm going to do that right here. This one here is for 2 to 6 players. They say 14 plus in about 15 to 40 minutes. Now, I do believe, I've played a couple games already. I do believe that younger kids could play this, but they might miss out on some of the strategy involved. All right, let's talk about getting this game set up. You're going to want to take all of the hex tiles for the game, give them all a shuffle, and create a stack or 2 stacks or however you like to do this with tile laying games, just off to the side of the board like this. You're also going to have some cards in the box with 3 different backs. We're going to set this over here. These cards here are your end game bonus cards, and we're going to set up for 2 players today. So we're going to take these end game bonus cards and, as the rules describe, deal 1 to each player. Now, it would be interesting, I think, and a rule you could implement on your own to deal 2 to each player and allow them to choose. But the rules do say that you should deal 1 of these to each player. We then have objective cards, and mine got a little bit mixed up. These are bug objective cards. You're going to give those a quick shuffle, just like that. And you're going to place them down on the table as well. And you're going to lay out 3 cards for all to see. Now, for the sake of keeping everything kind of in frame, I would normally take this deck of environment location card or objective cards, or they're not called environment, but they're called something. Terrain. There we go. Terrain objective cards. And you'd set it down way over there and then deal terrain objectives this way. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to place them here and lay them out like so. Okay. And each player's got their objective cards. And now we're going to deal with this. This is the starting tile, and as you can see, there's an open hole in the middle. We're going to get to that in a second. You're going to lay that out, and then you're going to have a stockpile of all of your different bugs, and you'll set them aside in a pile. I'm going to set them off the table, but you would set them all aside and make sure you keep them all together. So there we go. We've got all of our bugs, and then every player is going to choose a color, and for this example, we're going to use blue and white. So you would give each player their geckos like this. And then we are ready to get the final step of setup going. Now, you're going to choose a start player, and after the start player has been chosen, the last player in turn order, so obviously in this game it's our second player, but in a 3-player game, the third player, etc., is going to choose a single bug from the supply, and they are going to take that bug and place it in the middle of the start tile. Each player is going to get a hand of 3 tiles, and that is the setup. In Garden Geckos, you're going to be playing tiles and playing down geckos, trying to complete these objectives to score points. Scoring points is very easy. You're going to get 1 point per bug that you have, either a physical bug in your collection or the bugs printed on the bottom of cards. Now, as we dealt out at the beginning, there are a lot of bonus cards, endgame bonus cards. These bonus cards, the bug bonus cards, will give you 2 bonus points for every kind of that bug you have in front of you at the end of the game. That includes physical bugs that you've collected and the bugs on bottom of cards. So in this case, every fly you have would get you 2 bonus points. For these terrain tiles, you get 1 point for every tile, the largest grouping of that tile. So if we're going after these orange and red flowers, for every tile with orange and red flowers together, and we're talking about the biggest grouping, you would get 1 point per tile. But there we go. So we're going to set those off to the side. Let's just see what I have. I have ladybugs. So it might be a good idea for me to try to get ladybugs throughout the game. On your turn, you will take a look at your tiles and you'll go, wow, here's my tiles and I have to place something down. Now, you always have to place tiles so at least one border is matching. So that would be a legal placement. That would be a legal placement. that would be a legal placement, but something like this would not be a legal placement. And after you've placed your tile, you'll take one of your geckos from your supply and place it between the two tiles that you've matched. Now, if you match more than two tiles, which is possible, you would get to pick which of the matching tiles you would want to place your gecko on. Once all the geckos from your supply have been placed out onto the table, you will then start moving geckos on the board to a new location. So you get 5 geckos to place out. Then once they're all out, on your turn, you'll move geckos. Now, why and how and for what purpose are we placing these geckos? Well, there are 2 kinds of cards, as we talked about at the beginning. There are bug objective cards and there are terrain objective cards. For this specific bug objective cards, you would need to have a gecko touching a butterfly and a worm, connecting a butterfly and a worm, and connecting a butterfly and a ladybug anywhere on the board. If you have that anywhere on the board, and remember, you'd have to place a tile that creates that for you. So even if I had that situation on the board and this card got flipped up, on my turn, I can't just say, oh, I have this. No, you have to place something that contributes to this card. So if I happen to place a butterfly next to a ladybug and put my gecko down on the table between the two, and I already had this somewhere else, then I could collect this card. That is how these cards work. There are a couple different style of these cards. There are these ones that require you to connect specific bugs. There are these ones that just require you to have a gecko touching each one of these bugs. They don't have to be connected. You just have to have a gecko touching a fly, 2 different flies, a grasshopper and a worm. And then there are these ones here, which require you to have these bugs in a continuous row connected by geckos. So you would need to have a gecko between 2 cockroaches and a gecko between these 2 other cockroaches, but all connected, kind of like the longest train in Ticket to Ride. I'm going to put some of those back out. Not that they're the same ones, but there we go. Terrain tiles are different. They just require you to have your geckos on the board on these specific terrains. So right here, I placed a gecko on this grass terrain, and it's connected. So I would have one of these completed. And as the game goes, you would try to complete more. So maybe later I do this, and now I've got those 2 done. So now I just need to do those 3 middle ones. And I look and I look and I can't do it. But of course, I'm getting more tiles. I need another grass, so I could do this later. I place that. I put a gecko right there. Now I've got 2 grass and a plains done. So now I'm trying to get rocks. Oh, look, I have a rock. And mind you, other people are taking turns. It would not be this easy. So I finish the rock, and then all I need is 1 more. And then if I do that on a final turn, I could take this card and put it in front of me. And that's how terrain cards work. Play is going to go back and forth until the end of game is triggered. Either the last tile is drawn from this stack, or somebody has 6 objective cards. That's how we're going to trigger the end of the game. There is one final way to trigger the end of the game. And that would be if one of the bug supplies is exhausted. So each supply has a number of bugs in it. And if all of these bugs are picked up by other players, then the game will end. And I found through my first couple games that this has never happened. But I think if you played with 6, it would be very possible for this to happen. Now, there is an additional way you can earn bugs. If at any time a space is completely surrounded, you're going to count up the number of geckos touching the tile that is surrounded. Now, in this case, the answer is 1, 2. And the blue player would be able to take this and add it to their supply. Now, if the other person also had geckos in there, and it was, let's say, 2 and 2 in that middle spot, because I, as the blue player, placed this tile down, I would break the tie and I would take it. Now, if they were playing a 3-player game, and let's say I am pink, and this is what the situation looks like in the middle. It's a tie. I closed it off, but I don't have anybody there. In a tie situation, I would choose either the blue player or the white player to take this token. Now, if it wasn't a tie, again, whoever has the most would take it, in which case it would be white. At the end of the game, you're going to have tokens in front of you. You're going to have cards in front of you, and then you're going to start counting up your points. So if this was what I had in front of me at the end of the game, my score would be, sorry, you can't see that. If I had this in front of me at the end of the game, my score would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And let's not forget about our ladybug card where I get 2 bonus points. So we're at 15. There's a ladybug, so that's 17. And there's a ladybug. So my final score would be 19. And whoever has the most points is the winner. And that is a quick rundown and a quick overview of how to play Garden Geckos. Again, guys, there's a link in the description box down below if you want to check out this Kickstarter campaign coming in April, early April of 2024. Remember, this is a prototype copy, and while the components are great, and I do have a video that you can find linked as a card at the end of this video if you want to go check out my components unboxing and overview. The components are fantastic. This is pretty close to what the final product is going to look like, but there could be some changes throughout the Kickstarter campaign. So be sure to follow along, hit that notify me button, and Kickstarter will let you know when Garden Geckos is available for you to back on Kickstarter.